I just spent under 30 minutes building a complete copy of this app, and I didn't write a single line of code. WOP makes more than $800 million yearly, and I rebuilt the entire app using only AI. Today I'm going to show you exactly what AI tools I used, what prompts I used, and how you can build apps using AI without writing a single line of code. In step 1 we're going to plan the app. In step 2 we're going to build the app in Cursor with Next.js. In step 3 we are connecting the backend and the authentication using Supabase. And finally, in step 4, we're going to set up the Stripe payments and deploy the app live using Vercel. And by the end, you will have a working SaaS up and running with no coding required. Let's jump in. Before we start building, head over to brainnumber.ai. This is a completely free tool that I built to help you plan your app. Just type a simple prompt describing what you want to build. For example, I want to build a WOP clone, a platform for creators to launch online businesses, create digital products with different pricing models, and sell courses or communities with payment processing. Next, choose your platform. I'll pick IDEs since I'm using Cursor, and then just choose whether you're building an app for mobile or for the web. So I'll just go with web. Hit generate, and Brainnumber will create the full context of your app, or the brain of the app as I like to call it. This usually takes about 60 seconds. Now when it's done, download the file. We're going to use it inside Cursor in just a bit. And if you don't already have windsuf or Cursor, just go ahead and download one of them. For this video, I'm just going to use Cursor. Now, if you decide to use windsuf, you will get 250 extra credits with any paid plan, plus 20% off if you use the code BuildWithAI20 in the checkout. Okay, so I've created a new folder called WOP clone. So now we just need to drag it into Cursor to open it in the workspace. Just find the folder and just simply drag and drop it into Cursor. And now you can see that we have opened our folder in Cursor. So now let's set up the app. Open a new terminal and type npx create-next-app at latest, and then just give it a name. I'll call mine wop-clone, and then add these flags right here: --typescript, --tailwind, --slint, and --app. These are just the optimal settings to use: TypeScript, Tailwind, linting, and the app router. Hit enter, and now you will get a few setup questions. Just follow the defaults by hitting enter on all of the questions. So yes, yes, and no. Now just wait a few seconds and the app should be built. If you now look at the sidebar, you will see the new WOP clone folder. So just open it and you'll see the full Next.js template. And just a quick note, if the npx create command did not work, it's probably because you don't have Node.js installed. So just go over to nodejs.org and download the installer, and then just install it locally on your computer. Then just rerun this command and it should work. All the npx and npm commands require Node.js on your machine to be able to run. Now let's create a docs folder to hold our Brainnumber file. So just right click in the sidebar and click on create a new folder and just name it docs. Now if we close the WOP clone folder, we can see that the docs folder is not inside our project. So if the folder ends up outside the app, just drag it into the project folder and hit move. Now we can see that the docs folder is added into our project. It's very important that you have this file inside your project, or else Cursor won't be able to recognize it. Okay, so now let's run the app. In the terminal, type npm run dev. Now you will see an error, and this is because we're in the wrong folder in our terminal. So right now we are in the parent WOP clone folder, so we just need to move into the actual app folder. So to do this, we just need to type cd and then the app name WOP clone. And just for your information, cd means change directory, and a directory is just another word for a folder. So now if we type ls, that stands for list. It shows the files in your current folder. So now when you run this command, you should see all of the project files listed here, which means that you're in the right place. And just keep in mind that the ls command only lists files and not folders. So now that we have opened the correct folder, we can now try to run the app again. So just type npm run dev, and now the app actually runs. But something that's annoying is that if we now open a new terminal and try to run the app again, it won't work because we need to open the correct folder again by using the cd command. So what I like to do is just to drag the correct app folder directly inside the cursor window and then just click on open folder. So now the actual app folder will open in a new window, so just exit out of the previous one. So now every time we create a new terminal to run a command, the command will be run in the correct folder. If you now hover over the link where it says localhost 3000, and then if you hold down command or control and click on the link, it will open your app in the web browser. Perfect, so now we can see the Next.js template and our app is live locally on our computer. So from here, every edit that we do in the codebase will update in real time in the web browser. So now just drag the context.md file that we downloaded previously from Braindumper into the docs folder. You can go through the file and review it to make sure it's correct, but I will just leave it as it is. And now press Command or Control I to open the cursor composer on the right side of our workspace. And this is where we will talk to the AI in plain English. So now we just have the app template with the context file added to it. So now we just need to start customizing the app. So to do this, I will type, I have now set up the Next.js project. Now we need to plan how to build the entire app step by step. Use the and then write a tag, and now you can add any files or whatever you want. So let's choose files and folders, and then you can just search for context.md, and now if you hit enter on the file, now the file will be tagged and used as context in the prompt. Now I'll just finish the sentence, use the context file as the main structure of building the app. So now just hit enter to run the prompt. I'm actually paying for Cursor Pro, but as you can see, I've actually used it so much that I have to upgrade it to Pro Plus. Cursor is very limiting with its usage, which is a bit annoying. And by the way, I've written this entire tutorial as a step-by-step guide on my blog. So every prompt and command that I use in this video is included there, so you can just copy and paste if you get stuck. Link for the blog is in the description. Cursor now wants to run pwd or print working directory to understand where it is in the codebase. So I'll just click accept and add it to the allow list. And just a quick note, adding a command to the allow list lets the AI run that command automatically the next time without having to ask. So now Cursor scans the entire codebase and our context file, and then it generates a to-do list to build the app from the plan. So the steps looks good, so I'll just type continue. So it might not be that obvious, but right now Cursor is actually waiting for your input. If you now click on the button where it says open in terminal, this will bring that session into our workspace, and then you will see the terminal name includes Cursor, which tells you that this terminal was initiated by Cursor. So now in the terminal, it waits for our answer. Which color would you like to use as the base color? So I'll just choose gray. Success. Now Cursor continues installing what we need and starts setting up the app layout. I'll just speed this up. Okay, so now it's done, and the to-do status now shows 5 out of 13 tasks completed. So it installed the design system, it created the app folder structure, it added components like the navbar and the sidebar, it wired some page routes and generated static UI pages like the landing page, the authentication page, the dashboard page, the product page, and more. So now let's preview it. Cursor already restarted the dev server for us, so I'll just close the previous terminal and click the localhost link. Okay, so there was an error, so now just copy the error from the front end, and now in Cursor's terminal, we are also able to see the logs of the error, so we can just mark over the error and press Ctrl or Command plus L. This will send the selected text straight into the AI chat. So now I'll just paste in the front end error 2 and then just press enter. So now Cursor responds, I see the issue, there's an import/export problem in the marketing layout. So now it just patches the code and searches the rest of the code base for any similar problems. Okay, so Cursor just verified that there is no more problems, so just refresh the browser and perfect. Now our app is working again, and from just one prompt and our Braindumper context, we now have a functioning base of our app. So here is the landing page, build, manage and monetize digital products, and it even pulled some real wop.com statistics, and then there's some more details and even a call to action at the bottom. Okay, this looks solid. Click start building today, and now we are prompted to create an account. So the rest of the pages that Cursor has made is hidden behind the authentication. Now we just need to set up the authentication so we can access the other pages as well. So back in Cursor, it says ready for phase B, backend and authentication. So we will will wire up Supabase to our codebase next. So that means setting up the database tables, the authentication, and all of the route protection. And to make this part even simpler, we're going to use the Supabase MCP so that the AI can talk directly to Supabase without us having to do anything manually. And MCP, just quickly explained, is a standard that lets AI tools and services speak the same language. So for example, if someone speaks Norwegian and French, then the MCP is basically the translator that will have them understand each other. Okay, so in Cursor, open settings by going to the cog icon in the top right corner and then click on MCP and integration. If you now click on Add Custom MCP, this will open the mcp.json file. So in here, we just need to paste in the Supabase configuration. I will include this exact code on the blog page, so you can just copy it in. And now we need a personal access token from Supabase. So go over to supabase.com and create an account if you don't already have one. Now click on Start Your Project and click on New Project. Now just name it whatever you want and add a strong password, and then click on Create New Project. So now the project is created, but we just need to wait around 30 seconds for everything to be set up. Okay, so now my project is set up, and I will just go over to the URL bar in Supabase, and I'll just remove what we currently have here until dashboard, and then I'll just redirect over to dashboard/account/tokens. Now in here, we need to create a new personal access token. So just click on Generate New Token. I'll just call it something like Cursor MCP WOP clone. Now just choose when you want this token to be expired and then click on Generate Token. So now on the box over here, you can see the API token. So just copy it, and back in Cursor, just paste it into the Supabase access token field. And now we need to grab the project ref ID. And this is actually in your Supabase project URL. So just go back to the dashboard and maybe refresh the page if you have to. And then in the link, it will say an ID right here. Now, if you just copy this ID, this is the ref token. So now just head back to Cursor and paste this into where it says project ref. So now just head back to settings and then go over to MCP and integrations. And here we can see that it's green and enabled. So here we can see what the Supabase MCP can actually do. So it can search the docs, it can list tables and extensions, migrations, and more. And it can do all of this directly from Cursor without us having to go into Supabase at all. So anytime that we change the code in our codebase, the MCP will keep Supabase in sync. And this includes running SQL code to update the database tables. And SQL is just the simple coding language that is used for relational databases. So Cursor now has full Supabase access, which means that you won't need to switch tabs to manage the database manually. Okay, so I'll just close all of the pages, and now I'll type continue in the AI chat. So here we can see that Cursor actually notices that we have updated the MCP configuration. So now it just checks the project URL, but it notices that there was a typo in the mcp.json file. So let's open the file to see what it changed. And okay, so it was just an extra character that I had forgotten to remove, but there's no problem because Cursor just immediately fixed this for us. So I'll just click on accept the update. But now Cursor warns that the Supabase MCP is in read-only mode. And this means that Cursor is not allowed to change anything in the database. The only thing it can do is just to see how everything is set up in the database, so it has the full context. So whilst Cursor is thinking through everything here, let's just try to remove the read-only restriction. So just open the mcp.json file and just copy the entire context. So now I'll just open claude.ai or just use any LLM you like, for example chatgpt. And after you have logged in, just paste in the content of the mcp.json file in here. And then I will say we want to be able to edit as well, not just read only, give full access. Okay, so apparently all we need to do is just to remove the read-only field from the code. That's easy. So back in Cursor, just mark the read-only line and then just remove it. Now just save the file, and that should be everything we need to do. So now let's see what Cursor is doing here. So it seems like it's updating everything. It has installed some packages and it's moving on with the authentication using Supabase. Okay, so let's just let this run until it's done. And then when it's done, we can just mention that, hey, I just fixed the MCP so that you have now access to update Supabase and that you can do all of this yourself. Now it's done, so I'm just going to click on keep all, and then I'm going to prompt, now I removed the read-only restriction from the Supabase MCP. Can you please update what you just did so that the database is up to date? So now let's see if the Supabase MCP is working. And this is the AI's answer. Perfect. Now that you have removed the read-only only restriction. I can apply the database migration directly. Let me create the complete database schema. Okay, so it seems like it's working. It's just going to create the entire schema, and the schema is just the definition of how the database is set up. So this is what Cursor creates, so that we just simply can apply this to Supabase, so that both the codebase and the database stays in sync. And Cursor will just keep this file up to date so that we always know what's going on between the codebase and the database. So now it's just creating the initial file so that we can actually set up the database to store everything in there. So I'll just wait for this to finish. Okay, so now it's done. So let's see what we have accomplished. So the database schema is created and it is applied to Supabase with 4 core tables. And it also added row level security so that all the data is safe. And it also added some other stuff that we don't need to worry about. So the authentication system is now fully implemented. So that's nice. And then the database helper functions. Okay, so it basically just set up everything now. The database is now live and ready. So basically it says that the entire app is ready to test. So that's interesting. So before we continue, let's just make sure that it actually works. So I'll just type npm run dev again, and then just open up the local host link. And here we can see an error. Your project's URL and key are required to create a Supabase client. Okay, so what we need to do now is just to create a .env.local file. So just right click on the empty space in the folder section on the left side of our workspace, and then click on create a new file. And just name it .env.local. Now in this file, we just need to add in the Supabase keys so that we actually have access to the Supabase project. So go back to Supabase, and on the dashboard, just scroll down until you see the project URL. So just copy this one, and now back in Cursor, type in next public Supabase URL equals, and then just paste in the URL right here. And now just create a new line, and this line should be next public Supabase anon key. And now just head back over to Supabase and copy the API anon key as well. And now just paste it in the env.local file. Now just remember to save the file, so when you go back and refresh the page, this should be working, but apparently it's not. So let's copy this error in the front end and paste this into Cursor. And then I will just say I just added the .env local file, which includes next public Supabase URL and next public Supabase anon key. What is wrong? Okay, so it can see the issue. So the error is the Supabase key is still required. So it indicates that the environment variables aren't being loaded properly. Okay, so that makes sense. We just need to rerun the app, of course. Every time that you update something in the .env file, you have to refresh the app for it to work. And now we can also see here that Cursor automatically just added the Supabase service role key. It did this completely by itself because we have the Supabase MCP connected. So now we just see the power of how good MCPs really are when you connect it to an AI tool like Cursor. Okay, now the app is actually working after we have refreshed the app. So let's try to click on start building today, and I'll just fill in my personal details. So let's click on create an account and see what happened. Okay, so the account was created successfully. Please check your email to verify your account. So I'll just save the password and then go over to my email, and here we can see the Supabase auth email sent out. Now we just need to click on confirm your email. So now our account should be confirmed. I'll just exit out of the pages, and now when I go to click on sign in, I will just input the credentials and click on remember me. So now let's see if it works to log in. Okay, so it's just stuck at signing in, so I'll just refresh the page, and then I will enter the credentials again, and then I will just open the network tab on the side here by pressing Command Option I or Control Shift I, and then just going over to the network tab and just click this button right here to clear everything up. So now when I try to sign in again, it says signed in successfully, so it's working, but I see there's a 307 status right here, so I will just click on this one. And the problem here is that the redirect doesn't work, it seems like. So now it works to sign in, but it does not redirect us to the correct page after we have signed in. So I'll just mention this in Cursor, and I will use Whisperflow for this. It's just a simple speech to text tool that I use. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. This is just what I actually use. So now I will just start talking. And what's also so great about talking to the AI instead of just typing to it is because then I can see all of the stuff whilst I navigate throughout the app and see things live. So I can basically go over the app and just see, okay, this should be moved over here. This should should be moved over here, this should be removed, and it will pick up everything I say, and then by the end I will just stop the audio recording and it will have everything transcribed, which makes it way easier and faster to work. Okay, so now it fixed the login redirect issue. So the issue was that the login page is hard-coded to redirect to /dashboard, but it should check for the redirect to parameter, so it was just a simple fix. Oh, and by the way, if you go over to Supabase authentication, you can see that the account is actually made, and when you scroll to the right, you can see the last sign in column, and when this column is filled in with a date field, it means that the user have clicked on the verification email and verified their account. Click start building today, and now the dashboard loads. And since good prompts are half the battle when building with AI, I put together a free document with 5 prompts that I use 90% of the time, which will definitely help you as well. These are the exact prompts that I rely on in Cursor and Windsuf to get clean code, fix bugs instantly, and build features fast. If you want it, you can grab it for free, link is in the description. On the dashboard, we have total products, active users, total earnings, conversion rate, recent activity, and quick actions. And there's also create product, manage products, business settings, view analytics. And now if we click view all to open the products, here the products show the total products, the published products, the total sales and the total revenue, and the list of all the products. So now we'll just click the eye icon to view the details, and here's an advanced React course. There's also the business page for business info and statistics, the profile for public profile and products, and settings, which is not yet set up. So now we'll just go back to Cursor and I will ask, okay, what's next? So the next step now is to implement the core features. So Cursor recommends starting with the business onboarding, so I'll just say sure, continue. So now it scans the entire codebase and notes that the database does not have an industry field. So it adds the column to the business table so that we can also capture the user selected industry during the onboarding. So now when it's done, just head back to the dashboard, and now we can create new products with a title, headline, description, and pricing with multiple pricing models. And we can also set a custom URL and preview the product page. On the products list, click the eye icon again, and now we can see that the URL has /p/advanced React course. So every new product now gets its own dedicated page. So now the app actually works, so now we just need to update our UI to look like WAP's UI. If we head over to wap.com, we can see that they have a dark mode and a clean structure. So we will just copy the style, not their features, but just how the UI is looking like. So now go back to BrainDumper and choose Mobbin. We have partnered with Mobbin so that you get 20% off Mobbin Pro. Most people only get 10% off. And just keep in mind that if you want to use Mobbin, you will have to pay for it. So here we can see that Mobbin has both mobile and web patterns. It's basically a huge database with screenshots from every single page from the world's most largest and successful companies in the world. And you get to browse through all of these screens that the companies have paid millions of dollars on UI and UX designers to develop. And the best use case that I can think of from Mobbin is that you can just copy proven UI screens, and you don't have to worry if the UI is bad or not, because you have just copied a big brand's UI, and you can just focus on what is actually important, which is building out your app's functionality. So now I will just search for WAP, and here you will see WAP, start a business, learn a new skill, and build a network. And this is a web app, as we can see. So now just click on sections, and here you can browse through every single page of WAP, including any hidden flows that you'd usually never see or that is hidden behind a paywall. So now I'll just browse through the WAP's pages and just copy only the screens that I want to use myself. So I will just click on this page right here. I think this one looks good, and I will just copy the screenshots and then go back to Cursor and paste in the image. And then I will just rinse and repeat this process for a few images. Okay, so I ended up with around 5 images, and now I will just prompt Cursor. These are the screenshots of wap.com. Since we are cloning their app, copy their style and UI. Don't add any new features you see, just the look. Now just press enter, and Cursor will now go ahead and analyze all of the images. So as we can see, it recognized that it has a dark theme and it's professional aesthetic, clean sidebar navigation, modern card layouts, refined color system, and improved spacing and hierarchy. So now Cursor will update our app's UI accordingly. So now just wait for Cursor to finish. Okay, so a few minutes later, it's finally done. So hopefully this will look good. So now let's see how it looks. So just open the page again, and okay, this looks very, very good. It basically one-shotted a UI very similar to WAP, and honestly, this is insane. There's of course some tweaks. For example, we want full dark mode across every screen, screen. So I just take a screenshot of this page and paste this into Cursor, and then I will say, looks great, make all white boxes and buttons dark, and ensure the text has proper contrast across the entire app. Okay, so now it's done. So let's see how the app is looking now. Okay, so let's click on a new product. Okay, so this looks much better, but still the buttons are not perfect right here. So I'm just going to screenshot the button and copy and paste it into Cursor. And then I will mention still the buttons are white with white text, make them, and then I will hover over the button, and I actually like how this style looks. So I will just copy that. So I just take another screenshot of the button with the dark mode, and back in Cursor I will just paste this in and continue prompting, make them how the second image is looking all the time. Okay, so now it's done and this looks good. Now all of the buttons are correct. Nice. Okay, so the final step now is monetization, and this needs to be working. So let's head back to Cursor and say, now let's continue with setting up the Stripe payments so that viewers can buy users' digital products from their product pages. Okay, so now it's just going to install the Stripe dependencies as it just did here with npm install Stripe, and then it's going to create the Stripe configuration utilities and create a checkout session with the API endpoint, update the product page with the new purchase functionality, and then create the payment success and cancel pages. And then finally it's just going to test the complete payment for us. So now let's just wait for this to finish. Okay, so now it's done and it wants us to test out the payment flow. And also the next steps are to set up the Stripe account and get the API keys, and then add the environment variables to the env.local file, and then just test the payment flow using test cards, and also integrate this with the database to track all of the purchases. Okay, so let's see. And yeah, here we need the Stripe API key. So just head over to stripe.com and create an account or sign in if you already have one. Okay, so here I am in the Stripe dashboard. So here we can see both the API keys, the publishable and the secret key. So now we'll just go back to Cursor and type which keys do we need to add in the .env.local file, and how do I name them? Okay, so it seems like we need a Stripe secret key, the Stripe publishable key, and the Stripe webhook secret. So these are the two keys we have in Stripe. So I'll just quickly take a screenshot of them and then ask, are you sure these aren't the only two keys that we need? Okay, so the two essential keys are the Stripe secret key and the Stripe publishable key. So let's just copy these two and paste them into our .env.local file. So now to paste in the publishable key, just go back to Stripe and copy the publishable key right here, and then just paste this into the env.local file. And now we also need to add the secret Stripe key as well. So just remove the text here and copy the Stripe secret key, and just like that we have added both of the Stripe keys. Now let's go back to the dashboard and see if it's working and refresh. Okay, so it's still not working. So I'll just give Cursor the context of what we just did. So I just paste in the error from the front end, and then I will just mention we added these two keys, Stripe secret key and next public Stripe publishable key, and now let's see what it answers. Okay, so now the AI refreshed the app for us. So now we can just open the link by hovering over the localhost link and then just holding down Command or Control and clicking on it, and here we are on the new homepage. So we forgot to look at the landing page previously, but this looks good. So I just click on Start Selling, and now we are on the dashboard page. So go over to the products and view one of the listings, and here we still see the error. So I'll just copy the error message again, and then in Cursor I will just paste this in, and then I will say I still get this error. Maybe there's a missing Stripe key, or I wrote one of the keys wrong. Okay, so now let's test it out one more time. So I'll just open this again and click on Start Selling, go to products and view one of the pages, and now we can actually see the page. And oh, okay, so this is the purchase flow. This is very interesting. Now we get redirected to the checkout.stripe page. So I will just enter in my email and then add a test card just like this, add in the month, and then just add 3 random numbers in the CVV field, and then full name on the card. I will just type Christopher Content, and now let's click on pay and see if this is actually working. Okay, nice, green check mark. So the payment was successful. So now we have integrated Stripe into our app, as simple as that. So now it's finally time to deploy this app live so that anyone can use it, and this is actually stupidly simple. To do this, just start by going to github.com, then sign into an account or sign up if you don't already have one, and in here just click on new repository and just name this whatever you want, and then just make this private. Of course, we don't want anyone else to access your app. And now just click on create repository. So now we have created the repository in GitHub, and this is where our code will be saved directly in the cloud. So now I will just copy this URL right here, and this is our project's repository URL. Then go back to cursor, and now we can just exit out of all of these terminals. And I will also just exit this tab right here to make it cleaner for you. So now open a new terminal, and here I will just copy the URL and then type git remote add origin, and now just paste in the link just like that and hit enter. And now we need to add everything from our code base. So just write git add and then a dot and hit enter. And the next command is git commit -m and just write a title like initial commit. I've already written this command, but just hit enter. And now just make sure that we are on the correct branch by typing git branch -m main. And finally, we can now type git push -u origin main. So now everything in our local project will be added to GitHub in the cloud. If you now go over to GitHub and refresh the page, now you can see this is the entire project that we created locally added into GitHub in the cloud. The next step is to go over to vercel.com, sign in and click on add new project, then just import from, and then here under import git repository, you just choose the new one we just made, wop clone, and then just click on deploy. Okay, so whilst deploying, we can see that there was an error here. So all we have to do now is just to copy this and go back to cursor. Now just press Command or Control L to open the AI chat, and I'll just paste in this error right here. Okay, so the problem was that we just needed to clean up the entire code base because Vercel is very strict on just having an optimal code base. So now cursor will just go ahead and clean up all of the unused variables and imports and everything in the code base. So I'll just come back when it's done. Now it will run the npm run build command to test if it's working, and the build is now successful. So now let's click on keep all, and now we just need to type git add dot and then git commit -m, and then for the message I will just write second commit. So now we have added everything into the commit, and now we just need to push this over to GitHub in the cloud again. So just write git push origin main, and all of the new code is now on the way over to GitHub. So let's go back to GitHub and do a quick refresh, and now we can see right here that it's pending. So when you now click on this, you can see that Vercel is actually deploying your app. So now if we just go back to Vercel and then go to deployments, you can now see that it's building. And we can also see that last time it failed, but now let's see if it's working. This build took about 1 minute, and as you can see now, it's ready. So if we now go back over to the overview, and now when we try to click visit right here, you will see this 500 error when we open the page in the new tab. So let's just quickly fix this by going over to the logs section in Vercel. And here we can see the actual errors. And this just says that your project's URL and key are required to create a Supabase client. So all we need to do now is just to add the Supabase keys that we have locally in our project into Vercel as well. And this is very simple. So just go over to settings and then go to environment variables. Here we can add in all of our variables. So when it says key right here, just copy this next public Supabase URL and paste this in. And then for the value, just copy this URL right here and paste it in. Then add another environment variable and just do this for the Supabase publishable key as well. So now I will just save this, and then we just need to redeploy the app. And here you can also see that we have added the keys. So let's go back to deployments and just wait for this build to finish as well. Okay, so now it's done. And if we now go back to the overview, and when we click on visit, now we can see the entire app working live on the web. Perfect. So in under 30 minutes, without writing a single line of code, we went from an idea to a WAP style SaaS and deployed it live to the web. So now your next step is to take this exact workflow and run it on your own app idea. Just start small and ship it, and then iterate with real user feedback. Now, if you want to see me use this exact same process to clone another profitable mobile AI app, check out this video right here where I rebuilt CalAI, the AI-powered photo calorie tracker app, making $36 million a year in just 14 minutes. And I can't wait to see what you're going to make. Happy building.